this might be pertinent, so I'm starting a video. I was talking about my cutting board table. So I gave a little shot over there because I lined up all my medicine and meds and things I'm going to need, or, you know, to anticipate needing after surgery tomorrow. And then I was talking about the cutting board that I made that too. I made my boomerang table, trapezo, the asterisk, which forms magneto, which is a string of those, as a neodymium magnet board. Neodymium is very, very strong. I can probably put this entire notebook and hang it with one little magnet. And I made my cutting board. It's 15 and 30 degree angles, end grained. And so I explained that end grain is when you have a tree trunk and you cut it, it's this side of the grain, the ends versus the side. And the value of that is supposed to be kinder for your knives, kinder in the sense of keeping them sharp. And what else? Yes, I did this on my own. I had a introductory woodworking class at Mecca where no one finished their project. And I had to go find someone to help me finish my boomerang table. So I designed the boomerang table conceptually. I didn't know anything about woodworking. The class failed everyone, not in grade, but in terms of you spent the money, no one walked away with anything finished. I was able to get my money back, and not everyone did. I was the first one to ask, though. So, and maybe timeliness had something to do with that. Maybe, I can't remember, did my roommate write that at the time? My roommate was a lawyer. He may have sent the letter. I'm not sure. I can't remember. That may have had something to do with it. I don't know. But I got my money back, and then I had to go search for someone to work with me collaboratively to finish that. And I did find someone who we spent more time dialoguing than making a cut. But when we finally made a cut, I was very sure about the cut, and I was very well rounded about it in terms of its purpose, knowing we would discuss joints. So we want a righteous joint. To know a righteous joint, we would talk about other joints. You can do a dovetail, a sliding dovetail, miter. I've got the points. The points are mitered. So they're cut, they're glued together, and then they have a wedge of maple inset. It's also glued to keep those points of the boomerang together. One of the nice things about the boomerang table is it's fully collapsible. And I could, if I had orders, I could ship it flat packed. And it does assemble fairly easy. Speaking of the cutting board, so my only previous experience was the boomerang table, and what I got out of it is what I sought to get out of it, because the class didn't avail anyone to have a finished product. And it took time. It took almost a year for me to find the right person to work with. There's furniture makers here in Maine. Plenty of people work with wood here in Maine and New England. And, first person was like, hey, tell me where you want the screw and I'll put the screw in it for you. And I'm like, it's not really what I want. I don't want this to be tacky. I didn't even know anything about righteous joints, but you know what? I didn't want it to look like, I didn't want it to look stock. I didn't want it to look like I got it at Home Depot. And then I could go like this, and the whole thing falls over, due to lackluster engineering. So, you know, it took me about a year to find the right person, and it took about another year to get it completed. One of the things I found out was you get all those pieces fitted, you think you're done. Finishing that wood is a whole nother project. So sanding, there's a lot of sanding in that to make it smooth. The finish you're going to put on it, we mixed, was it, I want to say sesame oil. I can't remember. I could always call Rick for the recipe, one of his favorites. So we did treat it with oil several times to soak into the wood to keep it to keep moisture in it rather than being dry. And then I chose to seal it, and I had to go research that myself on this end, so that I wouldn't have to travel an hour and two back and forth to the wood shop, so that I could finish it on this end. But I think I did an admirable job, even considering that I tried a shortcut, and so it was a mistake. I tried to use a palm sander with a rotating disc, and the grit was too heavy, and I got little circles in that surface. So I had to do a lot of sanding with the grain to try and get that finish out. It's still lightly there, but it's so light that it's livable. It's my first time mistake. I did a lot more sanding because of it. But I'm very happy with it. I would be happy to embark on selling it, meaning that I think it's put together enough to be viable as an aesthetic, purposeful object that brings comfort to the eye. Why else do we seek aestheticism, right? Comfort the eye. It meets my standard, even with knowing that there might be little light swirl marks in it that I didn't get wholly out. Speaking of the cutting board then, so Rick, we dialogued a lot. He helped me set up machines and cut and all that. Was not a fast pace, it was a purposeful pace. You know, like I said, dialogue all day, then make one cut. But I knew what the cut was for, and I knew what it wasn't for. I knew why we were doing it. I knew what end we were going to achieve with it. I knew the value of why we're using this joint in this position as opposed to the others. And they have a B&B, and I was able to watch their B&B for a week, and I had the machine shop to myself. So I thought, I'm going to make a cutting board. And I had seen this 15 and 30 degree on a YouTube video, and I liked it, but then he turned it, he kind of round the corners. I didn't like that. I didn't like the geometry. So I got the idea from a man in Australia who is a woodworker, and I liked his segments and his wood choice. I can't remember. He may have had a purple colored wood. Anyway, it was two-tone, and then I selected my own two-tone, which is maple and walnut. And I did this all on my own, and I had to find things in the wood shop, like where's the chuck to get the drill bit, or change the router, because I put bevels on the sides, and you know, I had to figure these, there was no one to ask. And I broke the bandsaw, and I was like, I'll be damned if I don't finish my product. So I had to figure out how to fix the bandsaw. I've never looked at the interior of a bandsaw. I had to look at it and try and figure out where's the interior. Certainly these break because it broke. So someone has to fix it. Where do I think they would look if they have to fix it? So I followed the blade, and I found a knob, and I'm like, and there's a couple of things you can turn, and I'm kind of like, well, what happens if I try this? Oh, it opens! Now I can follow the blade. Okay, there's more knobs, and there's more, you know, there's more pulleys, and, you know, I fixed it to working order, but I left a message for Rick, his wood shop, so that when he returned, to let him know, I broke your bandsaw and I fixed it. Of course, I don't really know if I fixed it holistically enough or not, meaning this is my first time fixing this type of machinery. And I don't really have a whole lot of experience using it, so I fixed it sufficient to complete my job, but I don't know if I'm missing things. Should this be tighter? Is there some sort of check and balance, you know, to keep that blade going on the pulley? And does it need to be tighter? Is it going to break again? Did I tighten something too tight? Or is it too loose? Is it going to fall off? You know, so I left that memo. Hey, I broke the bandsaw. I think I fixed it, but you know, you need to check. You need to check my work so that it's to your standards. You know, so I broke things in process. I had to find things. There was no one for me to talk to, and I was going to say I think it's a fairly ambitious project. With not much experience of woodworking under the belt or in a machine shop whatsoever, I made this cutting board. I've seen it before because I've shown it before. I'm modestly proud of it. I mean, it's just here. It's just for me. But, it's big. It's kind of thick. It's got little beveled edges on it. The backside has a little hook in it where it's not exactly, one would think perfect, but through following my art of Eve Even, I rather think, if not like it, I rather think it's wholly acceptable. It's my first time, and you know what? We could call the hook charm. Let's see. I like to rotate its position. How have I been cutting this? Let's try this one. Anyway, that's me being silly on my own time. I like to learn by purpose, not token cookie cutter. So I pick a project of fulfillment, and I learn how to do it. I might spend a lot of time angling the considerations for completion. It's a way of suffering a contingency in advance. What am I going to need? What is it going to cost? That actually I knew I wanted it. Took me a while, then I committed to wanting it. I knew I wanted it, but when I started to like take the pieces apart in my head and try and figure out how you cut, then you turn, and then you glue them together, and I used every clamp in the joint, little, big. Oh my gosh, if I have a picture, it's somewhere. I used every clamp in this huge wood shop to keep my project together. And because I'm a first-time clamper also. There's many other things you do in the wood shop besides just cut wood. Anyway, what else? Yeah, what I like about it is you're not going to find that quality in the commercial marketplace. And ironically, I'm not a carpenter. I'm not a woodworker. Yet, my product fulfillment for me is better than what you can get in your marketplace to offer anyone else. I mean, I'm sure you could have something custom, but you need to get the heart to start. What else? I should talk about orange and purple. I couldn't figure where I put Minnow's harness the other day. Just Saturday, was it? Yeah, yesterday. Because he had it on, and I noticed at night he had it on, so I slipped it off, thinking it'd be more comfortable, not to have that buckle there and whatnot, that it'd be more comfortable for him. Besides, he looks stellar naked. He looks so cute naked, running around. So, but in the morning I couldn't find it, and I have a little purple collar around the neck. Now I don't usually use that one because Minnow's, his head is smaller than his neck, so those slip off, and also it's so narrow, and Minnow's used to the harness, so if he pulls on it, it's not pulling right on his neck, so he's really not used to that. But I found that, put it on, and used his leash because I couldn't find his harness. I took it off in the middle of the night, and I searched the bed, and I still couldn't find it. And you know, we had to get to work. So at work, see, I've been thinking about the colors. I've been thinking about purple. Is it P-U-R parentheses P-L-E? So that could be like place. Pure place. Purple, or is it I was getting repel L? Repel the love? I'm like, why would that be? Anyway, Minna was playing with his orange ball. And so, you know, sometimes I dialogue and I discover meta. And so I was thinking about how he was really enjoying engaging with the orange ball. And, you know, so I talked to him like I usually do. And I talked about, You know, he's wearing his purple collar and he likes the orange ball. They're a compliment. And they're complementary colors. And no, sorry, it's purple and yellow. Anyway, I thought they were compliments. At least that's what I said to him. Those are complementary colors. Minnow, you like orange. Orange. And orange. And then I was stuck on complementary colors. It's not exactly a complementary. Tertiary? I'm not even sure about that. I'm kind of a self-taught artist hack in the sense I'm self-taught in a lot of things. A lot of things I don't do and often enough to have a polished acumen, it would seem. So I know about righteous joints in woodworking. I have hardly manifested a number of hours to amount to anything to get me a job in the marketplace, okay? You know, by all accounts, like I say, I've done a couple of home projects. I don't think anyone would hire me. They would consider me a lightweight in knowledge and desire to fill their shoes. And that maybe they would see me as hard to fill a purpose. A purpose meaning their purpose. All right, I know how to measure. Talk to Paul Drynan. He miters corners. He takes shortcuts. Okay, put your hyphens in that. That's what you are to him as a woman. You are S-HO-RT-. You're a shortcut. That's all you are. He's very proud of his ability to measure. And he puts that out there for you to be like robustly, like you don't measure up. Well, in fact, I don't measure up, okay? Just an example of as an aside, of my experience working with men predominantly in the trades, building houses and house-related work, painting, drywall finishing, carpentry, GC, general contractor, etc. Let's see, anything else I need to talk about? Orange and purple. I was thinking they're complementary colors at the time. They're not, in fact. But orange is yellow and red. I was thinking, as far as the colors go and the meta, because I was thinking about purple, if there has never been any love one-on-one, wouldn't it be feasible to understand the repelling action? By necessity as tact, ion? Do you hand it traction as well? You know? Just kind of putting it out there as a glimpse. I'm getting at a reversal, and what I'm sensing is you can't reverse on something that never was. But how do you explain speaking forward your desire and not bringing it to fruition even when you have the opportunity to? Need, debt, tasked, the head, do. The head, the hand, HD, head, hand, high definition. Vert, I call. Green, money, me one eye. That should mean some thing. So it was today. I was up at, I can't remember when I went to sleep, but I was up at 2. I had this huge desire to look at caftans. I want a caftan. I never wanted a caftan before. I'm not into boxy shapes. And I want a silk caftan. And I'm not so sure that I would rather make it. And, but I was up at 2 o'clock this morning, looking at caftans and studying. You know, I like the V-neck a lot, and kimono style, and be it a robe or I was looking at draping methods for silk. So I bought charmeuse, and charmeuse is silky. I understand it's hard to work with, but it works well on the bias, so it kind of stretches on the diagonal, and what that yields is something that it drapes nicely on your skin. So it's a great fabric to drape, and in fact it's better to do something with less structure than more, because it shows every flaw, every stitch, every pucker, every mistake. So but I want to work with it, and they had it on sale, nearly 50% off, and I'm like, if there's any time to do it, it's now. And so I bought silk for 2 things. Perhaps to make a caftan of sorts of my very own, even though I'm still looking online, because what I can see online, I can make it solid. I could buy a lovely pattern, but if I buy someone else's, I'm not opposed to solid, you know. My eye is dazzled by others' patterns, and so I like looking at them and kind of deciding, well, which one do I like? Which one suits me? You know, is it the dark romance? You know, is it the carnations and the cranes? And, you know, something more oriental. I ordered silk too. So I decided on charmeuse as opposed to shantung. I'm using shantung for hanging on the back of the bed to make the honeycomb drape headboard off the canopy to make it look like honeycomb. Shantung looks the same on either side, where Charmeuse has the silk, the shiny side is considered usually the top and the facing side. And I bought it because I need to get the feather, the down comforter that Minnow chewed, so the feathers went out of the casing. I need to get that in a new casing. And the weave of silk, as opposed to linen, is I saw a cotton polyester at Joann's, but I want it to breathe. I want that, and I always like noble fabrics. So I bought the Charmeuse because it's a tight weave. I think it's going to hold the feathers in. It's going to be a lovely little topper on the bed. And I chose these somewhat candy colors. Neutrals and candy colors. But my inspiration was I really liked this Hella Jongeris, Jongereus. So she designed this Peruvian blanket throw, and you know, I had mentioned it previously. It's on the website. I put things that I'm looking at there, and I liked it. It reminded me of the beach, and you know, its sheen, its colors, candy, pastel, beachy, neutrals, tend to my eye with the other surroundings here to add something that's fresh and fun, remarkably fresh and fun. And so I just decided, with the price being right, like I have not been able to, with the Shantung, I was able to source a wholesale price, which is great, because silk can be very expensive, a yard. So I was, you know, getting it at nearly wholesale. I'm like, time is now. I don't know if I'll ever see that again. So let's think about this. And I'm like, you know what? You know, rather than think about that blanket, because I do have a throw blanket in Shale, Shale, which I really like that color, actually, for a neutral. The quality that I wanted. I didn't want the Shantung for the comforter, the down comforter. It's a little crisp, and it's just a little rough. I don't mind it at all. But for that, I'm envisioning making it just a topper of the mattress, because I gave Minnow a third of it, so that he and encased it in industrial satin, which matches the couch slipcover I made. So it was a very big, heavy fill down comforter. He did amortize it a bit by chewing it and fluffing. But so I envision it's going to be just a mattress topper. But I wanted this feeling of silky luxury. So I wanted the smoothness of Charmeuse, so versus the Shantung. So I just decided, okay, I'm jumping in. I'm buying these colors. I bought a mahogany brown also, so I can make silk pillowcases, and that match my sheets. And got another project out there to do between looking at caftans, thinking of making a caftan, and getting my down comforter uh, encased so I can use it going into fall and winter. It felt good to buy the silk and what I mean is um, my spending habits are changing. I don't need fashion in the sense of shoes. I've got two bunions on one foot, okay, and I wear orthotics and toe spacers to try to prevent surgery, and but I may be getting that this year too, so my out-of-pocket spent, so are met. So get that done now. Well, I'm gonna have swelling. I'm gonna be learning to walk again, heel to toe, very concertedly. So yeah, I'm not looking at fashion. Not looking at shoes. I haven't been going to the gym. I leak. I leak. I'm on the rag 24/7, and you know, take too many showers. Uh, get new clothes, clean clothes on. So it's yeah, I'm not kind of thinking into someone else. I like looking somewhat, but more I like looking so I can reinterpret it into linen or silk and make it myself and learn draping and whatnot. Um, I lost my train of thought where I was going. I knew if I do this. um, the there's a lot of levity in the colors of Hella's beachy, candy colored, pastel colored Peruvian wool blanket. I'm actually looking forward to translating that into silk. And for me, there's a lot of levity in it. And I didn't have a whole lot of time to think about it because New York Fashion Fabrics does flash sales, meaning you buy it that day or the sale's gone. And most of the time I'm kind of like, click, delete, because I don't like my nose being yanked around. I'll come to you when I feel like it. Okay? I really kind of despise coupons. So much so, well, here's the thing. I need to get pinking shears to cut silk. I want pinking shears to prevent that fraying. So they've got a couple. They've got Fiskars and they got Gingers at Joann's. The Gingers are A, Fiskars are B. Gingers are about $70 for pinking shears. It's a lot of money to spend on scissors, right? That you're not like using every day too. But I decided I want Gingers. I have Gingers straight shears. I've got a couple pairs in my sewing room. And I'm like, that's what I want to work with. So I checked online because what I know about Joann's is they always have a coupon. I find it sometimes very annoying because it can be so iffy. Like, but you've already used that coupon. And I'm like, but you always have a coupon. Well, you have to dial it on your phone. I need to bring my phone. You've got a fucking coupon. You just use your fucking coupon. I kind of hate dancing the dirty dance. That you need to elicit it to be a hobbyist. at their store. And I know what a hobbyist means outside of Joann's too. So, speaking of dual meta, let's see. So they've got a 40%. I'm like, okay, 40% off of Pinky Shears, that's kind of awesome. I mean, if I'm going to get them, let's get them then. But I'm standing at the counter and I could see, if I wait a week, right there's a 60% off coupon. So I asked her, well, can I use this on Gingers? I don't know. She wanted me to buy them then, but I was kind of like, shit, I don't really need them right now. I'll just wait a week. Come back there without my uterus and buy them for 60% off. The interesting thing that's happening when I spend money on you, EDDM, there's a whole process of buying into. My time to do the artwork, I don't even think about it. It's a given. If I thought about it, it's probably a rapacious given. But it's a given nonetheless. I don't think about it. I don't think about remunerating me for my thoughtfulness transposed into a route art. And using the ARC, A-R-K and A-R-C with myself that I tell S parentheses T-E, L over L, F by F, T. When I spend on you, EDDM, I don't remunerate me in whatsoever in my time to make the art. It's what I do. It's what I live for. It's what I do. If I think about it, remuneration, I'll probably start thinking that it's a rather rapacious tendency to put it out there. To be fair and square, no query. All talking about the Savior, but you're all sidestepping. Okay. And there's no one on the dance floor. So, but then there's the process of I gotta get it to the printer. Sometimes I have to pay someone to upload on the web service that sucks to get it to the printer in another state. And there's the cost of printing, there's the cost of shipping it back. There's the cost of me, my time, buying 18 cents each to deliver via the post office. Then I have to bundle these and I have to download paperwork. I need to send it to FedEx Kinko's, go pick it up. I counted 5,000 brochures and packaged them in sets of mostly 50. To make it convenient for delivery, and each one has to have a paperwork on it. This is what route it's for. This is, how many bundles to give it a whole accountability. And then there's the cost to ship it to the destination. And I've done a fair amount of marketing. I put money into myself, and I have not seen any back, which isn't unusual. A lot of what I do is hard to place in the marketplace, okay? It's hard to recognize its value. Oh, well, isn't that quaint? You have an X and O with a reuse and recycle mark. Now I got to get to work. Make real money with real concerns. No, no, no. These are not your concerns, dowing with war to restore the Savior, now are they? Jesus, fuck. So, what I find is when I spend money on you and I don't know who you are, I start to question, why aren't you spending money on you, meaning me? Why aren't you spending a little bit of token money on you with something you might like? Well, I've been thinking about silk and I decided, I spent money on you out there. I'm going to spend money on me. It was a couple $100. I'm getting quite a good value of silk. For a couple $100, I can make a charmeuse silk topper for as my down comforter, and I might even get a caftan out of it because I bought other colors, just colors that I like, rather whimsically. I think I got 8 colors total. I gave myself a budget, or not so much a budget, but you can buy X amount. And so I thought, not fully knowing what I would be using it for, beyond the first intention, the coverlet, the down comforter casing. I think part of me thinking about a caftan is thinking about was it 8 weeks? 8 to 10 weeks? No, that's hand. The bunion surgery, I have to stay off my feet. Okay. And that foot has to be up for several months. So I'm like, I want to lay around in a caftan or a robe. you know. I didn't get that part on the video. Meaning when I was talking about it made me feel good to buy that silk, even not knowing exactly the design, because I don't know enough about working with silk. Much like when I did my leather coat, when I redid the leather coat with the fur lining. So that was given to me by a CEO's wife, and I wore it to shreds. And then I taught myself as best I could to be informed with working with leather, and I reconstructed it, and I think I did more than a decent job. It's a hardy jacket, and I made it with a thicker skin. I made it with a cow skin, and it's a better value. You get more to work with for the hide, and it's heavier. I don't think I'll be repairing it. Probably not in the next 2 decades, I would imagine. I can wear it every winter, and it's going to look top notch. It has so it's mink, full mink interior lining, fox fur hood, and I had to teach myself not only to take it apart, draft a new pattern, understand seaming, laying those seams, and knowing I couldn't construct it the same way because my leather was a different weight, it was heavier. So rather than sewing 2 fabrics together and then flipping so you have a seam, I had to place on top of each other and stitch. It's all very informative. What I like about it is you have to keep your head in the game. And what game is that? It's the game of what you want. It's the game of what you want to conceive. that you want to manifest, that you want to fulfill. You have to keep your head in the game every step of the way. And not just every step of the way, because you can't be so stunted with, I only work in front of my nose. You have to know where you're going. And it does help to know about contingencies. If I don't lay this scene right, when I get to that one, I'm fucked. I'm gonna have to buy a whole nother hide. You know? So I'm happy. I had the desire and the chutzpah to pick that up, remake it, well, take it apart, then remake it, make a new pattern, remake it, refashion it, and make it work ultimately. Yes, it took time. A lot of what I do does take time. Partly because economy, I would imagine. Taking my time allows me to make money so that's in line with, issuing some desire and buying some desire, some raw materials to work with. But if you're the issue, you can see the stall is in part what you passe doft, because I still have to go work doing lice treatments to make some money, because you can see as well as I can my value in the trades. I get squatted doft tone on, okay? Pick your trades, the machine shop, you know what I mean? Oh, you're a carpenter? You miter corners too, and you can measure? I bet you two can. Toucan. Bird. By hyphen RD hyphen. Anyway, who knew I was such a great spinster? I know the bias, which is an interesting word in light of, I understand when I'm working with silk and charmeuse, I'm going to be working with bias, that you can hang the fabric and it can actually grow. So you don't hem it right away. I've already thought about knowing that the diagonal stretches, so to do a bed coverlet, really Hella's rectangular grid, where they're not squares, but but they're all square shapes, square and rectangles, is really suitable for a simple structure where every seam I'm going to be sewing is not on the diagonal. So I won't be working with seams that stretch. And it's not to say I don't work with seams that stretch, because I have a serger and I work with stretchy fabric. For my first time out, I'm not really wanting to work with a diagonal on a fabric that's already noted as this is difficult to work with. So I'd rather work with a simple structure and simple execution to fulfillment. And in doing that, I could see how those seams and fabrics slip, and give me at least a platform of experience to, okay, let's look at a caftan then. And would that be nice or not? A caftan or a gown? Do I want that on the diagonal? Do I want that on the bias? I can look at that then. And, build my skills. So I gather that in me talking about silk and making garments for myself and for my environment, that ironically, because you do that on your end, that bums you out a bit. And so um, we're back to, you know, love hasn't happened. So you jump in when you want to. The only value I have as a predecessor is I would, and actually could. Okay, so that speaks for itself. And STELL, who I tell, who I'm thinking of. Um, someone even do of. Look, I don't know what you want me to do for you. I your desire is for form and forum, each, EALL, EYE, where the suffix ly is both your eye looking in and looking out. I, ye. Ye is thou. SOM, SOME, met, T parentheses H parentheses D, TOWE, HOWE, DOWE. Roy Spray, you're spying on me. Okay, I should go to sleep.